Hello. This is kind of an experiment. I struggled with even attempting to do something like this because, I figure I'm just an ordinary guy, and who really is going to give a shit of what I have to say or what I think. But I've been kind of inspired by others who are posting on YouTube concerning their current political climate. And I've come to the realization that silence is consent. And the time for speaking up is now. I'm not a professional videographer, obviously. Just me, my cell phone that is jerry-rigged onto a tripod, and a notepad. I'm also not a political analyst. I'm just an ordinary guy. I'm basically a retired ditch digger. I worked for 30 years in civil service as a heavy equipment operator, 20 of those as a heavy equipment operator. So I don't have a big political background, but I do know, or at least I have an idea of the difference between right and wrong. If you agree with what I have to say, then that's fine. Maybe you could even hit like and share it onto your social media, and maybe even leave me a comment. If you don't agree, well, that's fine too. But chances are, I'm not going to care. I've been seeing a lot of, and I'm going to call this musings from the shop. When I'm out here in my shop working on my metal lathes and stuff like that, I do a lot of thinking. There's another place in the house where I do a lot of thinking too, but you probably don't want me to take any videos in there. It's kind of, give you a clue. But I've been seeing a lot of videos on YouTube of people who voted for Donald Trump and have since come to regret their vote. I've also seen other videos from MAGA groups or MAGAs that are kind of parroting those videos and also making fun of a lot of the government workers who are being fired at this time with very little warning, no compensation, just basically they get an email and they have to get out. And to those people that are mocking the workers who are basically having their lives turned upside down for no good reason, I hope that when karma comes back and bites you in the ass, I hope the teeth marks go so deep they leave scar tissue. And sooner or later, you can mark my words right on this day, that sooner or later it is going to bite you in one way or another. But a lot of these people who are expressing regret for their vote, quite a few of them are farmers. Some of them are people who are going to lose their construction business because materials are going to skyrocket, and they also can't find workers because of the threatened ICE raids. I have to ask, where was this regret when children were being separated from their families at the border during the last Trump administration? When they were when young kids were taken to a disused Walmart that had been converted into basically a jail and were held in cages under armed guard. Where was that regret then? You seem to only regret it because now your vote is affecting you. Farmers many of them are going to lose their farms because Trump has frozen the Department of Agriculture payments that were going to go to them for improvements that they made on their farms A lot of these improvements were to help conserve water, to deal with climate change, crop rotations, to keep the soil in place. And they had entered into a contract with the government to do these improvements, and the government would reimburse them. Trump took that away. And don't get me wrong, I believe in the importance of family farms in this country. But unfortunately, when the holders of those farms deliberately vote against their own self-interest, and for what? Did they really think that it was only going to affect people with black and brown skin? That somehow your whiteness was going to insulate you from the consequences of your vote? You know, there's an old saying, and I like to use it quite a bit. Maybe I use it too much. But there's an old saying that if you want sympathy, you can find it in the dictionary. It's usually located somewhere between shit and syphilis. So you can take that for what it's worth. You kind of made your beds. Yeah, Trump crapped in it, but it's up to you to change the sheets. There's only so much we can do to help you, and we tried to warn you. But you were so intent on, I don't know what, owning the libs. Well, what's that getting you now? You basically released this monster onto our country. You opened a Pandora's box that may never be shut. You did this, and you have to own it. I don't want to try to say that all Trump voters are racist. I do not believe that. But I do believe that all of the racists voted for Donald Trump. You know, kind of getting back to these government workers that got that are being fired through Elon Musk and his flying teenage mutant monkeys. A good case in point would be they fired people that were responsible for maintaining our nuclear arsenal. Our nuclear arsenal. And then suddenly when they fired them, they just shut off their emails, confiscated their badges, and told them to pack their shit and get out the door. And then they came to realize, well, wait a minute, we need these guys. But they have no way to contact them because they don't have their contact information. They have no way to tell them, hey, oops, our bad. We need you back. So what are we going to do? They also fired the people who are in charge of trying to combat this bird flu that we're dealing with. Have you checked the price of eggs lately? Have you checked the availability of eggs lately? No, Donald Trump didn't create the bird flu. But like COVID, his response to it is increasing the consequences of it exponentially. I just don't understand it. We have basically become, because of Donald Trump and his policies, his deliberate sucking up to dictators like Vladimir Putin, his attempt to blame President Zelensky for the war in the Ukraine. Are you fucking kidding me? Refresh my memory, but didn't Putin invade Ukraine? Zelensky didn't start this. But Trump is trying to say that it's all Zelensky's fault, that he should have cut a deal. What kind of a deal? What kind of a deal do you think we should cut if Putin decides to invade our borders? How many states are we going to give Russia? That's something to think about. And if you think the oceans are protecting us, remember 9/11. They didn't protect us then. We were attacked. But because of President Trump's policies, we have basically become the laughingstock of the world. Ronald Reagan once described us as a shining light on a hill that stood for democracy. Well, folks, that light is being dimmed. And if we keep going the way we are, that light of democracy might completely be extinguished altogether. Oh, say, will that star-spangled banner yet wave over the land of the free and the home of the brave? Folks, time will tell. Well, that's what I have to say. Maybe we'll do this again. Until then, this has been kind of some musings from the shop. I hope everybody has a good day, and if you're out traveling, keep it between the ditches.